Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of OMD Medical Minutes. This is Daniel Ebbett from the Office of the Medical Director, and today I'm joined by Melissa Griffin from the Alzheimer's Association. Melissa, welcome to MedStar. Please tell us a little bit about your role at the Alzheimer's Association and what you're here to talk to us about today.
Thank you, Daniel. I am glad to be here. So I serve as the Community Engagement Coordinator, specifically working with health systems at the Alzheimer's Association. And what that means is that I have the opportunity to share information and resources about dementia to healthcare professionals all over Tarrant County and beyond. And so today, that is exactly what I plan to do, share some information about understanding and recognizing Alzheimer's and dementia, and learning a bit about resources that are available to those suffering from Alzheimer's and dementia.
So all of us have probably responded to a patient with dementia, know someone with dementia, or may even be related to someone living with dementia, but we don't seem to hear as much about dementia and Alzheimer's as we do about cancer or heart disease. How common is dementia in the United States?
Unfortunately, it's very common. Right now, there are about 5.8 million Americans living with the disease, but what's even more alarming is the projection that it's expected to grow. So that number is expected to nearly triple over the next 30 years to about 14 million Americans affected. And what that looks like in a bit of a smaller scale is that currently 1 in 3 seniors is expected to die with Alzheimer's or another type of dementia. And that's meaning 1 in 3 people over the age of 65. Alzheimer's disease is the 6th leading cause of death in the United States, and it's killing more than breast cancer and prostate cancer combined.
Those are some astonishing statistics, Melissa. How does that translate from the national level to Tarrant County?
Tarrant County has a little bit of a higher death rate by Alzheimer's disease. So currently, Alzheimer's is the 5th leading cause of mortality throughout Tarrant County.
Are there any populations at higher risk for developing dementia?
I am glad you asked this question. There are unfortunate disparities in disease prevalence. Specifically, Hispanics are about 1.5 times more likely to develop the disease than whites, and African Americans are about 2 times as likely to develop the disease. And currently, of all those affected by it, about 2/3 are women.
Melissa, we hear the terms Alzheimer's and dementia used interchangeably a lot. Are those the same thing, or how do they relate to each other?
I am glad you asked that question, Daniel. They are not the same thing. Dementia is actually what we call an umbrella term, as it's used to describe a set of symptoms that are all associated with cognitive impairment. Alzheimer's disease is actually just one type of dementia, but it's the most common form, accounting for about 50 to 70% of dementia that we see. Other common types of dementia include vascular dementia, dementia with Lewy bodies, and frontotemporal dementia.
That's really interesting. We've all heard these terms before, but maybe didn't realize how they relate to each other. This would certainly be a topic worth exploring much more in depth if we had time today. But unfortunately, we don't have that much time, so hopefully the people listening to us will take the time to learn more about the different types of dementia after this conversation. Now that we've defined how dementia and Alzheimer's are related, can you tell us a little more about the disease process and how it affects the brain?
Certainly, all of these types of dementia do significantly alter the structure of the human brain, and in the next slide we'll show you a specific example of how Alzheimer's disease affects the brain. But Daniel, I'm just going to pause for a couple seconds. I really want the viewers to take a look at the 2 examples in this image. On the left side is an image of a normal brain that has not been affected by any type of dementia, compared to, on the right side, a brain that of someone living with severe Alzheimer's disease. You can see a difference in the size and the spaces within the brain structure. And in order to better understand how this disease alters the brain structure and how it affects the person living with dementia, let's watch a short video that I brought with me today.
What is Alzheimer's disease? Alzheimer's disease is a Alzheimer's is a slow, fatal disease of the brain affecting 1 in 10 people over the age of 65. No one is immune. The disease comes on gradually as 2 abnormal protein fragments called plaques and tangles accumulate in the brain and kill brain cells. They start here in the hippocampus, the part of the brain where memories are first formed. Over many years' time, the plaques and tangles slowly destroy the hippocampus, and it becomes harder and harder to form new memories. Simple recollections from a few hours or days ago that the rest of us might take for granted are just not there. After that, more plaques and tangles spread into different regions of the brain, killing cells and compromising function wherever they go. This spreading around is what causes the different stages of Alzheimer's. From the hippocampus, the disease spreads here to the region of the brain where language is processed. When that happens, it gets tougher and tougher to find the right word. Next, the disease creeps toward the front of the brain, where logical thought takes place. Very gradually, a person begins to lose the ability to solve problems, grasp concepts, and make plans. Next, the plaques and tangles invade the part of the brain where emotions are regulated. When this happens, the patient gradually loses control over moods and feelings. After that, the disease moves to where the brain makes sense of things it sees, hears, and smells. In this stage, Alzheimer's wreaks havoc on a person's senses and can spark hallucinations. Eventually, the plaques and tangles erase a person's oldest and most precious memories, which are stored here in the back of the brain. Near the end, the disease compromises a person's balance and coordination, and in the very last stage, it destroys the part of the brain that regulates breathing and the heart. The progression from mild forgetting to death is slow and steady, and takes place over an average of 8 to 10 years. It is relentless and, for now, incurable. Helping your family, friends, and neighbors to better understand Alzheimer's will reduce stigma, improve care, and even help the fight for a cure. Thanks for helping to do your part. Learn more at www.aboutalz.org.
Wow, that is certainly an impactful video. And after watching it, I have a much better understanding of the impact dementia has as it progresses over time from the early to late stages. I understand there are 10 common warning signs that may be observed when a person has Alzheimer's or dementia. What are some of the most common signs the paramedics and EMTs may see on a 911 call during their brief interaction with the person living with dementia?
Like you mentioned, there are 10 common warning signs, but some require longer interactions than you would typically have during a 911 call. But there are a few we want to highlight today that you might see in your emergency interactions. So one of the most common symptoms associated with dementia is short-term memory loss. So what you may see are repetitive questions and repetitive behaviors, and you may also witness the person forgetting the names of their closest loved ones that may also be in the interaction. You may witness poor judgment and confusion, so you may see the person wearing mismatched or dirty clothing. You may see signs of poor hygiene, and you may smell body odor. And you may also witness the person being disoriented to time and place. Another common challenge of dementia is behavioral changes. So the person may experience extreme changes in mood and personality, and there may be a lack of cooperation with you. You may see verbal or physical agitation also in this interaction. It's important to remember that people with dementia get stressed out easily because they have a limited ability to understand directions or explanations that you may be giving them. They may also forget these directions in a very short amount of time, so they may become easily agitated or frustrated and even overwhelmed by the process. For these reasons, they are more prone to wander or to hide from you, and they may experience extreme confusion over sensory stimulation, and more specifically over auditory stimulation. If there's a lot of different noises going on in the environment, they may become more confused.
I can tell you from experience that assessing and treating persons with dementia during a 911 call can be quite challenging, but there are things we can do to help make that process easier. What are some of the do's and don'ts of interacting with a person with dementia?
I'm glad we're able to talk about this. I put together 5 very simple tips for communicating well with someone who has some of these challenges we've discussed. So first and foremost, approach the person from the front. Their peripheral vision is quite limited because of their disease, so make sure you get in their line of sight. And introduce yourself, your name, and why you're there to help the person. Keep your sentences simple and short, and use them about one at a time to limit their distractions. Minimize sensory distractions, again, most specifically paying attention to the other sounds that are in the environment with you, and be mindful not only of your body language, but also the body language of the person you're there to help. There are some additional tips that will help you communicate well by avoiding some of these things. So first, try not to take comments personally. They may be offensive and they may sound quite rude, but it's best not to argue or correct the person. Do not touch them without asking or motioning to touch them. Try not to approach them from behind, again, getting in their line of sight. Don't give them more than one task at a time, and don't give them instructions without making eye contact with them first.
Those are some really helpful tips, Melissa. They will assist all of us in assessing and treating patients with dementia, and I hope that they will help better prepare us for our next encounter with someone who has this disease process. Currently, MedStar is working with Alzheimer's Association, UNT Health Science Center, and UTA on a project to help improve care and access to resources for people living with dementia and their family and caregivers. Can you tell us a little bit about this project and what the goals of it are?
I am glad to tell you more about this project. This is part of a research project, and the goal is to reduce unnecessary dependence on and calls to the 911 system by people living with dementia and to reduce those associated costs. The first step is to identify people using the 911 system who may have dementia but are currently undiagnosed. The questions are designed to help identify these people. And the second step is to provide more robust support and resources to help these people and their families.
And those questions you're talking about are the questions we have recently added to ImageTrend that some of you may have seen. This is the way that all of you running 911 calls can help us with this project. If you see these questions come up in your ImageTrend charts, please take the time to stop and answer them. This will help us to identify patients that you may be encountering with dementia, and will help us identify areas that are lacking resources that we can work with the Alzheimer's Association to start reaching into those community and provide them some of those missing resources. There are filters in place that will make sure they show up only on calls that you need to answer them on. So we really appreciate all of you taking the time to stop and answer those questions. Melissa, thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to join us for this conversation today and to answer some questions about dementia and Alzheimer's.
Thank you, Daniel. The Alzheimer's Association is so grateful to partner with MedStar in order to enhance care and support for all those affected by Alzheimer's and dementia.
If you have any questions about this project or want more details about what we're working on, please come by OMD to see me or send me an email. Melissa, if anyone wants more information about dementia or Alzheimer's, wants to know more about what services the Alzheimer's Association provides, or needs resources for their patients themselves or their family members even, where can we find this information?
There are two very simple ways to get more information. So first, healthcare professionals and families affected by this disease can call our 24/7 helpline at 1-800-272-3900, or they can visit our robust website at alz.org. And families, whether it's people living with the disease or their care partners, have the opportunity to speak confidentially with master's level care consultants on a variety of issues that they may face every day. We can help them problem solve dementia-related challenges, and we can help care partners receive emotional support and guidance with coping with the changes that come with dementia. Additionally, we will help folks find out about local resources that can help them navigate this journey.
Thanks to everyone who took the time out of their day to listen to this conversation. We hope you find it helpful. Please take the time to fill out the survey that you can find below this video. This will help us to know how useful you found this content and information, and it will help us build future content for you guys. If you have trouble locating the link, just contact me and I will get it out to you via email. Thank you again, and until next time, be safe out there.